This is the funeral of Palestinian journalists Saeed Al-Tawil and Mohammed Sub, who were killed while reporting in Gaza. The start of the Israel-Hamas war has been one of the deadliest for journalists in recent years, according to data from non-governmental organizations representing media workers. Verifying those figures has been a major challenge for both NGOs and reporters. At the time of this recording, at least 39 journalists and media workers have been killed since the start of the war on October 7th. According to the Committee to Protect Journalists. Saeed Al-Tawil, editor-in-chief of Al-Khamsa News, and photographer Mohammed Sub were out reporting when they were killed by an Israeli airstrike. This is thought to have been the last video Saeed Al-Tawil sent.
وتم إخلاء المنطقة بشكل كامل. النساء والرجال والكبار والأطفال والسيدات جميعهم أخلوا المنطقة بشكل كامل.
According to Al Jazeera, they were standing on the street outside their media offices in Gaza City's Rimal district, which is known to house a number of media outlets and is home to several Hamas ministries. Al Jazeera reports Israeli warplanes then struck a building in that area, immediately killing both Al-Tawil and Sub, and wounding Hisham Al-Wajah, who later succumbed to his injuries. Reporters Without Borders, a press freedom watchdog, filed a complaint with the International Criminal Court for war crimes committed against 8 Palestinian journalists in Gaza and against 1 Israeli journalist killed by Hamas. Palestinians Saeed Al-Tawil, Mohammed Sub, and Hisham Al-Wajah are among the journalists on whose behalf the complaint was filed.
There were also 8 Palestinian journalists killed in indiscriminate attacks on civilian grounds. And we are aware that Israel says that these journalists were victims of attacks aimed at military targets, which would be legitimate. But nevertheless, they caused manifestly excessive and disproportionate harm to civilians, and from our point of view, and we hope that the ICC will investigate, but from our point of view, this would still amount to a war crime.
Almost all of the journalists killed since the outbreak of the war were Palestinian, according to the Committee to Protect Journalists.
It's important to remember that the brunt of this violence is being experienced and borne by Palestinian journalists in Gaza. Those journalists are unable to leave. They cannot leave. So they are in a situation where they are reporting the news, they are reporting what is happening to them, to their families, to their friends, to their colleagues, while moving themselves and their families, taking care of their families, and trying to live through this conflict.
Israel currently blocks journalists from entering and exiting Gaza, making it difficult to cover what's going on there. A small group of foreign journalists recently got a glimpse when they embedded with the Israeli army. But those reporters living and working there are experiencing an unprecedented situation. Power and internet cuts affect their ability to work, and like other residents, journalists in Gaza also lack food and basic hygiene facilities, or simply a safe roof over their heads. Mostly though, they live in constant danger of being killed while reporting, as well as in fear for their colleagues. Salman al-Bashir, a correspondent for the Palestinian Authority's TV channel, was live on air when he found out about the death of Mohammed Abu Hattab, the colleague who had just been with Bashir.
لا تحمينا هذه الدروع ولا تحمينا هذه القبعات، إنها مجرد شعارات نرتديها فقط، هي لا تحمي أي صحفي على الإطلاق. على الإطلاق لا تحمينا هذه الدروع ولا هذه ما نرتديها فقط، هي شعارات فقط. نحن هنا ضحايا على الهواء مباشرة، نفقد الأرواح واحدا تلو الآخر بلا أي ثمن.
Many reporters must also deal with the loved ones being killed. Walel Tahtu, Al Jazeera's Gaza bureau chief, found his wife, 2 of his children and his grandson among the dead while covering the aftermath of an airstrike.
هذا الصوت ما دام في نفس لن يسكت، هذا أكيد يعني بغض النظر عن الثمن، بغض النظر عن المأساة وعن الجريمة. بالنسبة لهذا الصوت لن يسكت، هذا قولا واحدا وهذا عهد.
Israel has been accused of deliberately targeting journalists in Gaza. In a statement, the Israeli Defense Forces said Israel cannot guarantee the safety of journalists. Meanwhile, Reporters Without Borders has published its preliminary conclusions of an ongoing investigation into airstrikes in southern Lebanon that killed Reuters journalist Issam Abdallah and injured some of his colleagues. Based on video evidence and eyewitness reports, Reporters Without Borders found the journalists were not collateral damage, but targets. RSF said the 2 strikes that hit the journalists came from the direction of the Israeli border, but did not explicitly name Israel as being responsible. Witnesses say they saw an Israeli helicopter flying overhead before the strikes happened. All of the journalists were clearly visible and identifiable as press, according to RSF. Israel has so far denied any involvement, saying it needs to investigate.